Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are discussing. Disney had released a couple of new articles here. Actually, there's been a flurry of news from Disney of late in regards to what's next, what's the lineup going to be. Uh, we have talked a few times, if you've watched previous episodes, about the X-Men '97, which for everybody who grew up in that time frame, Mantis and I are children of the 80s and 90s. Um, we grew up on the original X-Men, the animated cartoon, as well as the Batman, the animated series. And X-Men '97 kind of just takes place after that ended. I'm kind of excited for
Yeah,
that one somewhat.
I know there was some kind of uproar about a character in there that they drew and his I don't even know why it's a thing, but his sexuality, I don't even know why it's a thing. Like I don't care, quite frankly. This should have nothing to do with the animated series. But that was a controversial thing that came out, I think it was a couple weeks ago. But yeah, they're redoing, I guess it's the continuation of those same characters. And I mean, from what the illustrations that we've seen, they showed it in this direct article, just kind of them all together, and one of the poses and whatnot, I guess. But it has the same characters to a degree: Beast, Cyclops, Rogue, Jean Grey. You do see Jubilee, as well as my favorite character, Gambit, and also Wolverine and Storm. Plenty, like the OG cast. You don't see Xavier in this, which is interesting. So I don't know. I'm excited to see, I guess, what they do with it, because like you said, I was a big fan of the old animated series. And um it's I haven't seen it in a long time, because I don't think you can get it anymore. I think we've looked at this. Like you cannot buy that on Blu-ray. Like it doesn't exist. The OG X-Men animated series, it does not exist on
You
a.
can buy like a bootleg copy, I think, that somebody has
It
put
is.
together.
It's Yes. It's not an official release, so which kind of sucks, because I'd
Which
buy
is
that in a
weird
heartbeat.
because I have the Batman, the animated series, all on
Yeah,
Blu-ray. Uh,
me
I
too.
was like,
Yeah, and
why
the
did
Superman.
it's like, well, yeah, I've got all the Superman animated series, the Justice League
Yeah.
animated series, that regular Justice League and Unlimited.
It's got to
I
be
don't
a
know.
Sony thing, right? It's gotta be a Sony thing that they were holding back on it, and
So
maybe now.
interesting you say that. So I believe we discussed in a previous video, just briefly, is that Sony and Disney have struck a deal where Sony is going to handle all of Disney's physical media, so releasing actual Disney shows, movies, TV, everything on physical copies. Sony is actually now taking over that. So it's kind of
Hmm,
interesting now that Sony's doing that, but Disney now owns the rights to X-Men,
so
kind of.
weird.
So, which they got from Sony, which is now doing their digital. I don't know. This is a very incestuous relationship between
It
those
is.
two. I'm hoping it means maybe we'll get X-Men the animated series, the OG series on there. However,
Mm.
I did find it interesting that we had come up with, Mantis and I were discussing several days ago, what we wanted to do for this next week's of videos, and we were obviously Mantis had mentioned this. He's like, hey, we could do something on this, but then like a day or two later, the man who's basically in charge of and created and wrote out the first two seasons of X-Men '97, Bo DeMayo, I don't know, don't care how you pronounce his last name, but they just fired him like 2 weeks before this series is supposed to air. And it was because he was actually working on season three already. It seems like it came out of the blue. And,
Yeah.
hearing you
Important
mention
security
what
message.
happened,
Your computer has been locked up.
somebody's been going to a lot of porn sites.
Actually, I clicked on the Bo DeMayo article from Yahoo, and it just decided to fucking freak out. So I don't. I don't know why that happened, but let
I
me try
didn't
to go to that.
I didn't post and oh, you mean just you just checking?
Yeah. I was just googling, like, because
Oh,
you mentioned it, and I know you said it yesterday, or was it yesterday or a couple days ago? You mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna search Bo DeMayo fired. It was a Variety link. Let me see if it does it again. Huh? Did not do it again yet. Damn ads.
fucking scammers.
That's Variety. Okay, I'm just saying. I guarantee you, I'm not gonna go political with it. I'm not. I'm gonna refrain. Um, this site, I'm not a fan of this site, but uh, they kind of are talking about what you'd mentioned with him getting fired after completing the first and second season of X-Men 97. Um, and it says here that his Instagram account, which had been previewing like artwork and like scenes from the animation from the show, has said, and he was answering fan questions from it, has been deleted.
Well,
So
that's where before we were so rudely interrupted by your porn lockup there was that like it seemed like you had talked about there was some discussion, some disagreement over this character and their sexuality. Like, was this a like? And we're not going down the rabbit hole, guys. We try to avoid
you're
all
talking
that,
about
but
Morph, right?
do what?
Morph. I
More,
think that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like because we briefly touched on what was going on with Morph and the kind of the weird thing, and we talked about it off channel as well. But like, is that like, did he push back, and now they're like, oh nope, we're firing you? Like, um, it just
That's what
it
I
because
think.
it seems very very abrupt, and this was somebody who enjoyed the original. In the articles I've read where he talks about it, like he really enjoyed, he was passionate about this. The motherfucker is already working on season 3, and season 1 hasn't even aired. That shows like he was passionate about this project.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, I don't know, man. It's either that or is like some like sexual assault charge that they haven't brought forth yet, and it's something like that. They're trying to get out ahead of it.
they found a post of his from 10 years ago, and it's just now ruining his life, more
Yep.
than likely. So now, before
And
we go ahead.
I just was going to move on. Go ahead.
Oh, that's what I was getting ready to do. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was going to say, before we go on to the rest of kind of going over some of the other things that Marvel has confirmed, uh, they just like today, Disney released a article saying that they are actually putting a hold on an indefinite hold on the Eternals 2 movie, Ant-Man 4, and the Marvel or Captain Marvel 3. Those are on indefinite hold. They're not they do not believe they're going to happen. Bob Iger actually himself. Now, we talk a lot in the Marvel and Disney worlds about Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy and how much they are just fucking these franchises, right?
But Mrs. Kennedy, Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby deer, put a chicken in, make her gay.
But one name you don't hear a lot from is Bob Iger, right? He's just kind of like, he seems like he's staying out of it. He's the shadowy figure losing billions of dollars, right? He actually himself said he does not want to do, like, he's putting a hold on the Eternal movie. He believes it will be a big flop, as well as the Ant-Man 4 and Captain Marvel 3. So with the article says with all of the losses they've occurred of lately, which basically is all of year 2023, they want to focus on the successful franchises, the things that are working.
This is me not saying I told you so, or thousands of other people that have said this exact same thing.
Dude, I think it's
Um,
more than thousands. I'm gonna put a
yeah,
little
I
counter here
mean,
in the corner. It's just gonna be like going up like crazy.
yeah, like kind of we talk about too big to fail. Like I think these companies are realizing that people just don't want to consume garbage content, whether that be movies, TV shows, video games, podcasts. Like it doesn't matter the medium. people are getting fed up with this garbage. One, it's thin, there's no substance. They're pushing their own agendas inside this stuff that people don't like. Um, and the majority of people that they're targeting with some of this stuff is the minority of people that actually enjoy the content. So when they realize that the numbers that they're getting back don't line up with how much money they're spending on these projects, what are we gonna do? Oh, we gotta cut. We gotta lay off people. We gotta do this stuff. So that's what's happening, and the chickens have come home to roost.
Well, and again, trying to stay as far out of it as I can, just kind of as an overview of, when you talk about it being real thin and seeming like it's coming out of nowhere with these agendas, right? We're dealing with a franchise or multiple franchises that have decades and decades worth of backstory to them, right?
Mhm.
And it's been developed in a certain way for these decades, and then you kind of come in and you want to throw curveballs into this old IP, and then people, and again, yeah, there isn't any substance. There's no, like, it seems like it's coming out of left field. Like, the one character's over there complaining about they're not confirming her, affirming her sexuality, and they're like, the world's about to be destroyed by this gigantic celestial. This has nothing to do with what we're dealing
Dude,
with
who
right now.
cares?
And it just
Yeah.
seems like that, right? It's out of left field. Like, it's like, okay, like, this is complete. That was completely random. Back to the matter at hand here. Like, that's how
Right.
it feels when you're watching this as like the viewer is like, all right, that just that was oddly placed. There isn't any substance to it. It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on, and it doesn't need to be in there, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and I would have to think too. Like these come up, and the reason we're doing this is because, or this particular video was that Disney was confirming. We'll say that with quotes because it was the presentation slides that they showed at their Q1 earnings presentation had the possibility for these shows releases, and one of them, like we just discussed, was X-Men. That one is confirmed, though, obviously, because they're doing them.
Now, the one of the ones on the list, Agatha Darkhold Diaries, which will follow
Mhm.
kind of up on WandaVision, because they already said WandaVision is not getting a second season. Falcon and Winter Soldier, those aren't getting second seasons. Agatha, the Darkhold Diaries, that is actually being pushed back. So
Yeah.
I know it was already slated for fall 2024. That's going to be pushed back even further. So
Yeah, there's that. There's another couple of things just in the comic book section here is Eyes of Wakanda, which obviously is a it says at least in the press release an under undated show. They slotted it 2024. I assume like the rest of this is going to get pushed back. Um, Warriors went on missions to find throughout history to find the dangerous vibranium artifacts from around the world. So something to do again with the vibranium metal or alloy, obviously that we all know that's made of that the Cap used for his shield, or as well as Tony Stark's dad was kind of instrumental with a lot of that. I
Black
think
Panther suit.
yeah, I think they're probably trying to stay out of quote unquote Wakanda for most of the show. It'll be kind of all over the place, which is fine. Again, I know we at first kind of hated on Black Panther movie until we watched it, and we were like, no, actually, this is actually a pretty good movie. I haven't seen the second one. Don't know that movie may suck. Don't know.
It didn't get very good reviews. Obviously, it didn't do it anywhere near as well as the first one. There was a lot of issues with it, but we did actually, when we were doing reactions, we did actually a reaction. It was one of the like two or three things that neither of us had actually seen. When we do a reaction is on the channel here because it was a good movie. I heard the second one, and honestly, after not having Chadwick Boseman in it, just kind of like it, you know, um,
Yeah.
it took something away for me. So I didn't, if they would have replaced him and just had somebody else take up his mantle or something as being him, I'd have been, maybe I'd have been a little more apt to see it as kind of a tribute slash this. But seems like they just kind of, again, I don't know for sure, but
Right.
that's neither here nor there now.
There's that. They're also doing a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which looks to be Probably, I mean, from what I've seen, it's animated. Because I guess with the live action ownership is kind of what they say in limbo. Like no one really knows kind of the live action stuff's going right now. But it's this is not canon to the MCU according to the article that the friendly name Spider-Man is not canon, so it could be an offshoot type thing. Aside from those few items there for the actual comic book Marvel side of it, they're also doing a couple of Star Wars releases. The Acolyte is one that's again tentative for summer, which is June. I assume that's going to get pushed back as well. That's supposed to be some prequel to the Phantom Menace, which, if you watch the Phantom Menace, at first is a there's parts of that movie I just hate. It sucks.
Excuse me.
Then there's like the last 20 minutes. Yeah, the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes are pretty good. And so this is supposed to be a prequel to that about the Sith and stuff. So that could be interesting, but you never know. It's Disney, Star Wars, so it's probably going to be bad. And then there's the Skeleton Crew, which is
Who Disney's running on right about now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is gonna have, I guess, it's starring Jude Law, and it's part of the Mandoverse. So, I mean, I don't have much faith in Disney Star Wars until they have actually shown something that of substance that makes sense and is good. I don't. Obi-Wan started out good and then it just went to fucking shit. So I have no faith in Disney Star Wars at this point, and until they put out something that makes me change my mind, then I'm just going to think everything they put out and that schedule is garbage.
I mean, I feel the same with the MCU stuff, right? So I feel basically anything Disney, and I don't watch their animated kids films. I mean, I'm a goddamn grown man, and I'm not watching their animated. I'm not hating on. I'm just saying that it's not going to be my cup of tea, right? Um, but they're ruining those too. They're classic movies as well. So like, you know, for anybody watching who actually creates content for platforms like YouTube or Rumble or anything like that, and kind of like what Mantis and I do here, we have discussions multiple times a week about videos, ideas we can do, what we want to do for those videos, storyboard out how we can make them good, on things that's not just like our discussions here and all of this. And you put time in because it's not just like making a bunch of videos and throwing them out there and seeing what's going to be popular. Like, knowing you put out just a bunch of shit and you're just trying to cram as much down people's throats until they give in and they subscribe. But it's about putting out quality, right? And we've talked a couple of times before. Right now, I feel like Disney is throwing anything at the wall and seeing what's sticking, right?
Fuck baby did put a chicken in, make her gay.
And that's why we had like 5 different Marvel series, like with WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. We had all these things. It was like, oh, throw what's going to be popular and what we'll run with it. Well, Loki got real popular, so we did a season 2, and then we fucked that up, and it's just like I don't know. Like, it's just I feel like with everything they do right now, that's what it is. That's like the Disney method. And now, like I said, Bob Iger, I think, finally stepped in. I'm not saying he's the savior because he's been letting this shit go on all this.
He's not. But
yeah. But I think what honestly happened is the reality is Disney is still a publicly traded company, and at some point you have to answer. Even the CEO of the company answers to the shareholders, and when a lot of the shareholders that aren't certain big entities come in and are saying, hey, we're tired of losing money. You had like your Avengers movies, and usually when you think about sales in a company, when they look at the averages, it's a 3-year average, right? So you had 2 years of Avengers in Infinity War and Endgame releasing year after year that propped up 2 super huge years for you of billions of dollars in revenue, and then your next year just went straight down the shitter. Which, to be fair, I think within the next year they had Spider-Man No Way Home, which did actually really, really well. But now you've tanked. So that 3 years, like you're, I
How
mean,
many
everything you
times
put.
though? We talk about this. The only reason, quite frankly, that movie did well was because of the nostalgia aspect of it. And you can only do that once. You can't keep playing that card. People won't go for it.
Well, and I think the other problem is too, now you had with the DC with the Flash, they did that, like that trick's not, yeah, like you said, you know, you got away with it because they were two separate companies, but it's kind of like with this whole, you know, you said in the last video we recorded, you know, with Flashpoint, they've got a blank check to just do these things where we just reset everything. All of this stuff's getting old, right? Just saying, "Oh, hey, we fucked it up. We'll do Flashpoint and we'll reset everything and give us a fresh start." Or, "Hey, we'll do this and it resets everything." Or, "Hey, we'll do the nostalgia thing." That's going to get old quick.
Yeah, it only works so many times. Again, this is why we talked about with. I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here, but it kind of overall attitude of studios, the way CW did stuff with Arrowverse, where they just keep bringing people back and nothing mattered, and then all of a sudden you had this fresh injection of quality television mixed with writing in the form of the God, not House of Dragon. Um, why I keep wanting to say Lord of the Rings? It's not Lord of the Rings. Jesus Christ, what am I thinking of?
I don't know. What are you thinking
Fucking
of?
the George R. Martin HBO series. What am I thinking of? The Game of Thrones. Sorry, I'm just freaking brain dead today. With the with Game of Thrones coming in and just not giving a fuck what you think about characters and bringing them back, aside from one character in that whole 8 seasons, which was actually written into the book as part of the actual plot, um, being Jon Snow coming back. Everyone else, nope. Oh, you've grown to like this character? Well, he's gonna just fucking get his throat slit. Too fucking bad, and he's dead forever. Like,
Dude, they said Red Wedding. They said, "Fuck you!" Like half the
yeah, yeah,
characters that
that's
you've
what I'm
known and
talking about.
loved are gone.
Yeah, and this fresh breath of fresh air came in with that, and it showed you it's like, oh, when you do this type of stuff, things matter. Like everything the character says and does can matter in the show because who's to say they're not going to be there next time? Like having that ability just to reset things and oh, it's okay, we can write it off. God, it's just such a cop out for lazy writing. We've discussed it before, and Disney's been as well as DC. I'm not giving them. I know we like DC more. I'm not giving them a free pass here at all. They do the same shit, like I just mentioned with the CW, like with their properties. Like Marvel does it too, and I hate it. I don't care. At this point, I don't even care if it's canon. I don't care. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm done with it.
No, make something original. Make death stick. Make them meaningful. Like, you know, when we lost RDJ at the end of Endgame, that meant something. Don't. Oh,
Yeah.
we're losing money, so we need to bring him back. No, it's done. You
No,
know,
no, I
and
don't. I don't. Yeah, no.
and the
Just
problem
no.
is for the actor, it's really difficult when they say, "Oh, hey, here's RDJ was getting like 50 million for those last few movies." It's a little difficult to turn that down, right? Ah, fuck it, I'll reprice it. Even though he did say that he thinks the character should just stay, like he wants them to just stay dead. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I mean, Harrison Ford said that too. So
he did. That is true. He didn't like that. But all right, guys. So final thoughts on all of this with the Disney is I'm hoping that with the news coming down from Bob Iger about putting a hold on some of these, even though I was really kind of looking forward to an Eternals too, because I wanted to see more of like Arishem and the Celestials. I loved how they did them. It was giving me great hope for Galactus. That's gone. But hopefully, maybe it's time they'll start looking, and they're putting a hold on several of these others even that we had mentioned, or they're pushing them back. Maybe they'll stop
mhm.
and start focusing on what's important. I think a lot of this nonsense is starting to die down, so maybe they'll come to their senses and they'll start putting out some better stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said everything I wanted to say about it. I don't mind new series. I'm excited about the X-Men 97. Hopefully, it's not a case where this guy got canned and he was one of the original. I don't know if he's the original writer on the
He was.
97.
He was.
So him being canned does not give me faith, and this is going to be good. It really doesn't. Not for the fact that, I mean, who knows? It could be anything. He, like I said, he could have been diddling kids. No one knows. But just the fact that they haven't said anything, probably not. It's probably he was standing up to him about some direction the
They're
show
like-
was going. They didn't like it.
They're like, put a diverse woman in it, make her gay.
Fuck baby J, put a chick in it, make her gay.
Right,
You know I'm going to cut that in here at least a couple of times in this episode.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. That's kind of disappointing. Again, the Star Wars stuff, I could take it or leave it. Don't really care because everything I've seen so far from Star Wars, Disney's sucked. So, well, I say that, not everything. Everything recently. I don't consider the first season of Mando. That was pretty good, but then it got bad. Anyway, the rest of the stuff, yeah, don't really care about. Not interested. Don't even. Eyes of Conda doesn't move the needle. Agatha doesn't move the needle. If it turns out being good, then that's, I guess, a pleasant surprise. But I'm just not excited about any of it.
And second final thought on this is, we kind of say, we said in about 2 videos ago, we were talking about, like, moving away from, like, that's all Disney's got right now is MCU and Star Wars. It's like, we need some other content other than superhero content and Star Wars content. Even though we are a DC channel, like, you don't have us excited for entertainment life right now. You got a lot of proving to do. Like, we need something else in the interim.
You hit it. Like, I don't want to go on another tangent here, but it's like, what does Disney make? They acquire properties, IPs, and they just continually make stuff in those properties. I'm not saying they need to make a new comic book company and make their own things, but, like, why don't they make just an actual movie that's not animated or a kids movie or Star Wars or MCU? Why can't they just do something good? Make a horror movie or make a. I mean, I don't know. They're in everything. It's not like, why should that be off limits? They do superhero movies. They do sci-fi. They do sports because they own ESPN. Like, what is stopping them from making other types of content like that?
Talent in the writing, right? They don't want to have to create an idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep. You hit it nail on the head right there. Yep.
All right, guys, to avoid any more, because, again, as I say, we say most videos, we can talk about this for hours. So we already blew past the New Year's resolution. We knew that wasn't going to last very long, guys, as most New Year's resolutions. If you have made it this far with us, though, consider liking the video in that weird spot that I'll have to place the like in. Consider subscribing to the channel, where we're going to have more content coming out of this and all of our Superman Legacy series. And let us know down in the comments below what you think. Like, is it time we need something new? Sorry, had to mute that.
Oh,
at least I hope you guys didn't hear that. That was a really loud cough. So, Mantis, unless you have anything else.
No, I think I've said pretty much everything.
All right, guys. Then until then, we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.